Vibes of India, everyone. I am Trisha Pathak, and today we have with us Mehul Devkala, sir. Am I pronouncing your name right, sir?
Yeah.
Mehul Devkala ji जो हमारे साथ हैं, he has been selected, इनका चयन हुआ है for poetry recitation at India's largest international literature fest, which is called Unmesha. It is organized by the Cultural Ministry. So,
Yes.
sir will be going to Shimla from 16 to 18 June.
Yes, yes.
सर
Yeah.
आप हमारे दर्शकों को बताइए कि आपका कविता का सफर कब शुरू हुआ, आपका कविता से कनेक्शन कब हुआ, आपने कब लिखना चालू किया, क्यों लिखना चालू किया, आपके रोल मॉडल्स।
ओके, सबसे पहले तो वाइब्स ऑफ इंडिया के दर्शकों को मेरा नमस्कार। और बेसिकली ये जो फेस्टिवल होने जा रहा है, इट्स वन ऑफ इट्स काइंड, like it is the biggest one which is happening in recent times. Okay, so they have invited almost from 15 countries, from 16 different languages. So about 400 plus writers, poets, authors, filmmakers are coming to Shimla for this festival. Yeah, so it's one of its kind, and I am glad that I am going to recite my poetry in Gujarati in translations over there. And also some of the legends like Guljar Saab will be there, and recent International Booker Prize winner Gitanjali Shri is going to be there. Then Vijay Sheshadri, the Pulitzer winner, American poet. So he's also going to read his poetry. So it's going to be an exciting event, So I'm really looking forward to participate there in Shimla. And as you have asked me, how my relationship with poetry has started. So I have started writing at very early age when I was in school, and even my earlier poems got published. They were the rhythmic poems in ghazals and poetry. But then later on, I got exposure to world literature, Latin American literature, Russian literature, Japanese literature. So after that, the language of my poetry got got changed, because also I was living into mega cities like Mumbai, Pune, so I got exposure from different cultures, different localities, so that is also started coming into my poetry. So gradually my poetry started to take a shape, and the contemporary world, the atrocities happening around us, the melancholy things of the urban life. So all these things became the subject of my poetry. So that's how it started. And poetry, poetry is a kind of a form which I have explored. At the same time, I am also inclined towards cinema, So both are my passions, like poetry and filmmaking. Yeah, so that's how it started.
किसको देख के, किसको सुन के, पढ़ के आपको रियलाइज हुआ सर कि मैं भी लिख सकता हूँ, मैं भी ये कर सकता हूँ?
See, yeah, so my early inspirations are, from Gujarati. When like children of my age, my friends who were reading, comics. At that time, I was reading novels. So I have started reading serious literature at very early age, So so if you see Gabriel Garcia Marquez from Latin American literature, then Pablo Neruda. So his poetry has influenced me a lot. Then if you see in India, like in Gujarati also, like Panal Patel, the writer. So I was very much influenced by it in my early days, Then poets like Uma Shankar Joshi, so from Gujarat. Then I have also read poetry from different regional Indian languages, through translations. Yeah, so Tagore has always been a big inspiration. So if you can ask me for poetry, who is my idol, then I can say Rabindranath Tagore. So he's the biggest inspiration for me.
सर मुझे एक बात बताइए, आपका सरनेम देवकला है, ये आपने रखा है या आपने रखा है कि ये पहले से है?
Yeah. So actually, the thing is that uh, it's my, because in ghazal and lyrical poetry, people used to take takhallus,
हाँ जी,
but this is not takhallus because it's an older time. So people at that time, there were not no mediums like social media as recent times. So people used to give their trademarks to their poetry, so that's how the takhallus thing started. But this Devkala is, it's my middle name basically. So what is my thought is, uh, that Dev is my father's name. So I
अच्छा,
thought mother's name should also be included,
ओह
So
क्या
Kala is my
बात है,
mother's name. So that's
क्या बात
how it's my middle name basically. It's not a Takhallus or something. It's my middle name. So
क्या बात
yeah,
है,
so Dev is my father's name, Kala is my mother's name, and I am popularly known as Mehul Devkala. It's my middle name. Devkala is my middle name.
बहुत अच्छी बात है सर, ये तो वाइब्स ऑफ इंडिया इज वेरी वेरी ग्रेटफुल एंड ऑनर्ड टू होस्ट यू आज. मूविंग अहेड सर, वाइब्स ऑफ इंडिया के दर्शकों को आप ये बताइए, हम तो जानते हैं आपके बारे में, आपकी उपलब्धियों के बारे में और आपकी पुरानी प्रतिभाओं के बारे में, आपके अचीवमेंट्स के बारे में हमें थोड़ा और बताइए.
देखिए ये बेसिकली मेरे लिए पहले से पोएट्री इज नॉट समथिंग विच आई एम डूइंग फॉर money or literature. Basically it's
हाँ
my
जी,
passion, because for few people it's a way of earning, but for me it's not a way of earning. So I have always kept my profession passion separately, so I do not have to bother what people are saying, or what I do not have to follow the trends basically, so what I wanted to write, I only write that things, so that is the advantage of keeping the things separately. So basically it is purely a way of expression for me. And uh, from early age, people started to uh, got interested into my poetry even outside of Gujarat also. So at a very early age, my poetry got translated into English, and through English, it got translated into Malayalam, then Bangla, and like in Telugu also, different languages. So I have a pan India readership in that way. So yeah, so I have been invited to Kolkata Literature Festival also, and I have read poetry at Goa also, and at different national levels. I have read my poetry. So the thing is that my uh, even the thing is that our, if we talk about today's Gujarati young writers, so they are my main the, the one thing which I can see is they are not reading basically. The writers should also be readers. So today's writers, Gujarati writers, they are not reading at all. They don't have a perspective on global issues, socio-political scenarios happening around them. So they are just concerned about their local, the local glamour, the local अभी क्या चल रहा है, लोग किस पे वाह वाह कर रहे हैं, but the literature should, it should reflect the our time, current time. If you see after 100 years, if someone is reading my poetry, then they should able to see the world of 2022 in my work. So that's what I have always tried, and that's why my poetry get translated into all these language, and people can connect even out of Gujarat also. In different languages, different countries, they read my poetry. So that is the reason. And another thing is like filmmaking, as I said, is always been my passion. So I have grown up watching Satyajit Ray's film and Ghatak's films, and also the neorealism cinema from West. So I have been always watching those films since my childhood. So filmmaking is always, it's just an extension for me to express myself. So when I made my first film, then I have written it and I have also directed that film, and it got international award at the Kolkata International Film Festival, outstanding film award. Then I also got an exposure to post production from other, the such art house cinema. So that's how I am connected to both the worlds, the literature and films. And Yeah, and I'm not bothered about the boundaries of our regional world. So I see literature as a literature, not a Gujarati literature, not a Indian literature, not a world literature. Literature is same. If it is just that you are writing it in Gujarati or in Hindi or in Marathi, so that is the
Definitely.
only difference. Yeah.
Literature
So
has no boundaries, truly.
exactly.
सर आप
So
जा
so
रहे
I
हैं शिमला हमें रिप्रेजेंट करने के लिए, तो आप हमें बताइए आप कौन सी कविता पढ़ेंगे वहां पे?
Yeah. So and yeah, one more thing. Like I'm going third time actually to represent Gujarat. So
अच्छा
before that also I have been invited to Guwahati, Assam actually. So
अच्छा
there
अच्छा
was a young literary meet. Like it was organized by Sahitya Akademi only. So I went to Assam also Guwahati.
हाँ
So
जी
we stayed there for a few days and it was like young minds from all the Indian different Indian languages were there, and it was a experience of its kind. And after that, during the pandemic, also they have arranged a webline series. So in that also I have represented Gujarati at national level, and this is the third time. But the difference is that it's a very big festival. It's an international literature festival, and it's a
absolutely
really an international literature festival because they have invited writers from all over the world. So yeah, I have not yet decided what I am going to read, but still, if you want, then I can read some of my latest. Yeah. So the Gujarati title is Nauma Divase,
हाँ
but
जी
I'm going to read an English translation though, so that the wider audience can connect with that. So it's called the ninth day. And basically, it was written on the ninth day of the lockdown. So yeah, so when it started on the ninth day, what I was like looking or feeling around, so it was written on that experience. The ninth day, I put down Jivnananda Das poem and pick up my pen at 1:15 at night on the 8th day of the lockdown, or 1:15 in the morning in the ninth day of the ninth day, something comes to my mind. Day and night seem all muddled up. In the silence of the night, the steady sound, the old watchman thumping his staff on the paved road. Before 6 in the morning, Papa will pick up the milk at the door, soak the packets in the warm water, and fill his hands with the fragrance of the sanitizer, which he hadn't encountered in all his 74 springs. 2 days ago, as I opened the bedroom window, I was hit by a familiar smell. But why? Suddenly, this smell from far away, across meadows, bushes, drains, and dwellings, the stench of burning bodies from the distant cremation ground has travelled all this way in the broad daylight to this city, to this crematorium city. The nose recognizes this smell. The garden near the office shares a wall with the cremation ground. On a rainy day, the smoke from blazing pyres doesn't rise high but spreads wide. On this side of the wall, in the garden, a young couple locked in a kiss, in a tight embrace, make love. The stinking grey smoke of the crematorium covers it all. Yeah.
बात है सर वाह वाह सर मैं चाहती हूँ इसका आप गुजराती वर्जन भी पढ़ें
Okay. So let me see. Yes. I have to search for this. Okay. Yeah, just Gujarati version. Just give me a minute. Yeah.
आप आज बड़ी मुश्किल में पकड़ में आए हैं क्योंकि आप कल जा रहे हैं दिल्ली, तो आज हमें सुननी है गुजराती कविता।
So yeah, basically, Antara Dev Sen has translated this into English. Yeah, she is
ओह
the translator. Yeah. So yes. So here it is. So it got published into Ether, a very renowned literary magazine in Gujarati. So it was published there. નવમા દિવસે જીવનાનંદ દાસની કવિતા બાજુમાં મૂકીને કલમ પકડું છું. લોકડાઉનના 8મા દિવસની રાતના 1:15 વાગે કે પછી 9મા દિવસની સવારના 1:15 વાગે કંઈક સૂઝ્યું છે. દિવસ અને રાત્રિ જાણે ભેળસેળ થઈ ગયા છે. રાતના એકાંતમાં સિમેન્ટના રસ્તા પર વૃદ્ધ ચોકીદાર દંડો પછાડી એકધારો અવાજ કરી રહ્યો છે. સવારે 6 પહેલા તો પપ્પા બહારથી દૂધની થેલીઓ લઈ લેશે, ગરમ પાણીમાં ઝબોળશે અને 74 વસંતોમાં નહીં સૂંઘેલી સેનેટાઈઝરની સુગંધ હાથમાં ભરી લેશે. 2 દિવસ પર બેડરૂમની બારી ખોલતા નાકને જાણીતી વાસ આવી, પણ આમ અચાનક, એ પણ સીમાડા બહારથી. નાળું, ખેતર, ઝાંખરા, વસાહતો વટાવીને અહીંયા છેક સુધી આવી ગઈ આ વાસ. આ વાસ છે મૃતદેહોના બળવાની. દૂરના સ્મશાનેથી આવી ચડી છે આમ અચાનક. આ સ્મશાનવત બનેલા શહેરમાં છડે ચોક દિન દહાડે આ વાસને નાક ઓળખે છે. ઓફિસની નજીક આવેલા એક બાગની દિવાલ સ્મશાનને અલગ પાડે છે. ભડભડ ચિતા સળગતી હોય વરસાદી વાતાવરણમાં એનો ધુમાડો ઊંચે ચઢે ન ચડે ત્યાં જ ફેલાવા માંડે. દિવાલની આ તરફ બાગમાં ગાઢ આલિંગનમાં ચુંબનરત રતિક્રીડામાં મગ્ન યુવા જોડા અને સ્મશાનનો ઘેરો ભૂખરી ગંધવાળો ધુમાડો એને ઘેરી વળે.
क्या बात है सर, बहुत बहुत ही कविता लिखी है आपने, बहुत ही अच्छे से
I
उस
hope
नंबर
you liked it.
मुझे तो बहुत पसंद आई थी. हमारे दर्शकों को, वाइब्स ऑफ इंडिया के दर्शकों को बहुत पसंद आई. बड़े आर्ट प्रेमी, कविता प्रेमी दर्शक है हमारे. तो
Yeah,
बहुत
because Trisha, the thing is that poetry का हमने एक खाका बना लिया है. Poetry should be like this, but the poetry should convey things which are happening around us. तो खाली रोमांटिक पोएट्री और वही अच्छी अच्छी बातें, बागों में फूल खिले हैं, वही बातें कब तक करते रहेंगे. उसका भी एक टाइम होता है, उसका जोन होता है. लेकिन फिर 24 घंटे वही पोएट्री लोग भी उग जाते हैं. और बेसिकली व्हाट इज माय एक्सपीरियंस विथ literature and filmmaking both, let me tell you very important thing. Like as a filmmaker also and as a poet also, as a writer also, we people used to underestimate our audience, our reader. People, before this multiplex thing and OTT things came, the filmmakers are deciding that okay, now people like this kind of things only, and they are making such cinema. And at the same time, readers, even poets also, they want quick appreciations on the on the stage. So they are writing a kind of poetry by thinking that people will not understand if they write some difficult literature. But the myths are broken now. Now people wanted a difficult, good literature, good complex films, and the OTT, the multiplex. Now you see what kind of cinema is coming around us. The web series like Panchayat, people will never think of such things will get so much success, but people want genuine things with which they can connect.
exactly.
So this poetry got published into Gujarati initially, it got translated into English, and maybe it will travel into different languages. So that is my vision about the literature and art field. Yeah.
बहुत खूबसूरत विचार है सर आपके साहित्य को लेके, और मुझे बहुत बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि वाइब्स ऑफ इंडिया ने आज आपके साथ कॉन्वर्सेशन किया है. थैंक यू सो मच सर, हमको ज्वाइन करने के लिए, हमारे साथ बात करने के लिए. मैं उम्मीद करती हूँ आपका शिमला फेस्टिवल बहुत अच्छा रहे, आप वहां जाके गुजरात का, भारत का नाम रोशन करें. थैंक यू सर.
Yeah, धन्यवाद. Thanks for your time. Yeah, thank you.